Stand in the middle of modern London at rush hour. Buses roar past, glass towers reflect the sky. The underground shakes beneath your feet. Now erase it. It is the early 6th century. The streets are silent. The Forum is empty. Grass pushes between cracked Roman paving stones. Wind moves through roofless buildings. Inside the massive Roman walls, there are almost no people at all. This is Londinium, after Rome. And for a time, it is a city that nearly disappears. It is the early 5th century when Roman authority effectively withdraws from Britain. Around 410 AD, imperial administration ceases, troops leave, tax systems collapse, long-distance trade fragments. Londinium had once been a significant Roman provincial capital, strategically positioned on the River Thames, with a bridge connecting trade routes across Britannia. At its height in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, it may have housed 30,000 to 45,000 people. It had a forum and basilica, public baths, an amphitheater, a port facility, defensive stone walls. By the late 5th century, much of this infrastructure remains physically standing, but functionally dead. There is no functioning Roman state left in Britain to maintain it.
Cities depend on systems: tax collection, road maintenance, grain distribution, military protection, administrative bureaucracy. When these vanish, urban life becomes difficult to sustain. Archaeological evidence suggests that by the later 5th century, much of Roman London is abandoned, not burned to the ground in a dramatic final battle, but gradually emptied. Roofs collapse, timber rots, public buildings are dismantled for materials, the once busy streets fall quiet. Unlike Constantinople, which retained its imperial core, London loses the state structure that made it urban.
This is the critical point. Roman London does not smoothly transition into medieval London. For perhaps over a century, the walled city area is sparsely inhabited. Excavations show very limited occupation layers from the late 5th and early 6th centuries. Where do the people go? Many likely disperse into smaller rural settlements, farmsteads, emerging Anglo-Saxon villages. Urban concentration gives way to localized agricultural life. Modern London never stops being populated, but in the 5th, 6th centuries, the continuity breaks. The urban organism collapses.
By the 6th century, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms dominate much of southern Britain. The Roman name Londinium fades. The area becomes associated with the kingdom of the East Saxons. But here is the surprising detail. The new Anglo-Saxon settlement does not immediately occupy the old Roman city. Instead, it forms slightly to the west, in what archaeologists call LUNDENWIC, near today's Covent Garden and the Strand. This new settlement emerges around the 7th century. Why not use the Roman walls? Possibly because the walled city felt like a ruin. The river access was less convenient. The population was small and did not require heavy fortification. This is not a revival of Rome, it is something new. By the 7th and 8th centuries, Londonwic becomes a modest but active trading settlement. This is early medieval urbanism. Timber buildings, dirt roads, thatched roofs, workshops mixed with dwellings. Population estimates range from perhaps 5,000 to 10,000 at its peak, far smaller than Roman Londinium. Trade goods found in excavations include Frankish pottery, glassware, continental coins, and animal bones from butchery sites. Unlike the Roman administrative capital, Londonwic is primarily a mercantile hub. Its identity is commercial, not imperial.
Imagine walking through Londonwic around 750 AD. You would see open-fronted workshops, smiths shaping iron tools, weavers producing textiles, traders unloading goods from shallow riverboats. The houses are narrow and constructed of timber posts with wattle and daub walls. Sanitation is minimal. Refuse accumulates in pits. Livestock move through streets. The smell is constant. Food consists mainly of bread, porridge, salted meat, fish from the Thames,
ale rather than clean water. Compared to Roman London's bathhouses and paved streets, this is a technological regression, but not a collapse of society. It is a simpler, decentralized model.
Christianity re-enters London formally in the late 6th and early 7th centuries through Roman missionary activity. In 604 AD, a bishopric is established in London. A cathedral, likely wooden, is constructed near the old Roman city. Religion becomes a stabilizing urban force. Churches act as landowners, centers of literacy, political intermediaries. This pattern mirrors what happens in cities like Rome and Cologne. The church becomes one of the primary institutions preserving urban continuity.
Just as Londonwic stabilizes, a new danger emerges in the late 8th and 9th centuries: Viking raids. The Thames is a highway, not only for trade, but for attack. In 842 and 851, Viking forces attack London. Archaeological and written evidence suggests significant disruption. The open, undefended trading settlement is vulnerable. This creates the next major transformation.
Problem: Londonwic, prosperous but unfortified, cannot defend itself against Viking incursions. Change: in the late 9th century, under Alfred the Great, the settlement shifts back inside the old Roman walls. The ancient fortifications, neglected for centuries, are repaired and reused. This reoccupation forms what historians call Londonburg. Consequence: the Roman city is reborn, but in a different form. The grid is reorganized, streets are laid out deliberately, defensive planning becomes central. London becomes a fortified burh within the emerging Kingdom of England. The Roman skeleton becomes medieval muscle.
By the year 1000, London is once again the largest city in England. Population may reach 15,000 to 20,000. It has defensive walls, active river trade, a mint producing coins, and a growing merchant class. But it is still modest compared to continental giants like Constantinople. Stone construction slowly returns. Markets expand. The Thames Bridge becomes central to commerce and control. Unlike the abandoned shell of the 6th century, London is now clearly alive again.
Today, London has nearly 9 million inhabitants. In 500 AD, it may have had only a few hundred within the walls. Today's financial district, the city, occupies roughly the same footprint as Roman Londinium and later Lundenburg. Modern roads sometimes follow Roman alignments. The line of the ancient wall can still be traced in fragments near Tower Hill and the Barbican. But what has vanished? The Roman Forum, the early Anglo-Saxon Lundinwic settlement footprint, most timber architecture. What remains is the logic of location. Control the Thames, control trade, control political power. That logic has never changed. London's near-death experience in the 5th, 6th centuries shows how fragile cities are without state systems. Unlike Rome or Constantinople, London did not have a continuing imperial bureaucracy, massive internal food logistics, monumental political symbolism sustaining urban identity. Its survival depended on reinvention, first as a smaller trading settlement, then as a fortified Anglo-Saxon burh, then later, after 1066, as a Norman royal capital. Each phase was different. There was no uninterrupted urban civilization. There was adaptation. From Roman provincial capital to abandoned ruin, to riverside trading town, to fortified Saxon burh, to Norman stronghold, to medieval commercial center, to early modern imperial capital, to global metropolis, few cities demonstrate urban fragility and resilience as clearly as London. It did not glide smoothly from antiquity to the Middle Ages. It nearly vanished. When we think of great cities, we assume permanence. But London's history shows that cities are not permanent structures, they are living systems. Remove administration, trade networks, and military protection, and even a Roman capital can empty.
Restore strategic necessity and economic opportunity, and that same space can flourish again. Modern London feels eternal, yet between 450 and 650 AD, it was little more than wind through broken walls. The city we know today exists not because it was uninterrupted, but because it was rebuilt repeatedly on the same ground. And that is why London after Rome was a city that almost died, but chose slowly and unevenly to live again.